Good morning, everybody. Just jumping from one call to the next. So hang tight while I share my screen. And we're going to give everybody a little bit of time to come on board here. Hey, Vadim, welcome back from PTO. All right. I'm just going to put this into chat. And I'm going to turn the recording off until we actually get started. Or maybe I can't. And Vadim, if you could take a look at the agenda and see if there's anything else we need to add to this.
Everyone, this is Christian here.
Hey, Christian, welcome. Um, and we'll get started about 2 minutes after the hour. The recording is going on at the moment, so and Clayton is not coming today. His birthday was yesterday, so wish him a happy birthday, and we'll give him a day off, which I think he's actually traveling for work. All right. So we have Christian and Vadim. I think we have the two key people. I was looking for Danny to see if Danny would join, who's the other co-chair, but I don't see him coming on yet. We'll give him a few more minutes. And I will sort of kick off with the first note that's on the proposed agenda items here. Um, for those of you who are coming to DevConf and Bruno, we did get our talk accepted, which is great. And we did get a meeting room assigned to us, but we still don't have a date for that. We also got a table to do outreach at in the lobby. And if any of you have been to DevConf, that's sort of where everybody congregates in between sessions. So and it will be next to the Kubernetes table as well. So we can share and cross-populate and have other people come. So if you are planning on coming to DevConf, please let me know. And we will incorporate you into all of that. So we'll have a face-to-face meeting there, an official one, and put that out over Blue Jeans as well. So if anyone needs links to that, that is a really easy link. I'll put that in chat. Yeah, you've got it there. Did we get a room too? Let's see what that one is. Yes.
Definitely be there.
Yeah.
I'll quickly rejoin because I don't see the presentation that happens sometimes in the Blue Jeans. I got.
Yeah, it should be there. You're not seeing the presentation that I'm sharing? Okay.
I see it.
I've had that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's probably just on my side. I'll rejoin.
Okay, cool. Do that because you're next up. So get out and come back in. The other thing is we have in London. Let me just see if I can find the London OpenShift Commons gathering here. And in San Diego, we did a very nice, or Christian, who's just bumping on and off, did a very nice lightning talk before the lunch. And so we wanted to get, I think Christian and Danny just gave regrets. He's in another meeting, so he can't come. If anyone is planning on going on January 29th or is in the London area on January 29th, that is another event which we can do some outreach, and hopefully we'll get news from Christian and Vadim that we'll have a more stable release of OKD4 to announce at that event, and we'll just keep building and doing outreach there. So that's the next Commons event that we have, that I can offer up. If people have other events that they'd like or that they're attending that they want to promote OKD or Fedora CoreOS, please let me know, and I will do what I can to support you and get us, swag or whatever else it is we need to that event. If you're going to FOSDEM, for example, let me know, and maybe we can figure out how to get some OKD on the menu at FOSDEM. I did not submit for FOSDEM this year.
Me neither, but I will be there personally, actually. But I'd be happy to do some OKD stuff there as well. Yeah. And I will also be in London. Yeah. I hope so. I've requested the budget, and I haven't heard back from them. But yeah, I'm planning on going to London as well.
Okay, so Christian, if you forward me the email that you requested the budget on, I'll work with the powers that be to make sure you get money there. But if anyone else who's on this call is coming, the London event is free, so you just have to get yourself there. The registration is free, so please feel free to go and back him up in any way, shape, or form that you can, and that would be helpful. So that's what I have. There were a number of talks submitted for KubeCon EU. And we will have, again, a meeting room at KubeCon and do an OKD face-to-face meeting in Amsterdam, as well as another OpenShift Commons gathering there. So that's, I think, March 30th of 2020. So there'll be an OKD presence there, and we'll probably do pretty much a full court press there for OKD. And we're working on getting, little pandas with OKD stitched on it swag to promote OKD. So hopefully by March 30th, we've got all of our ducks in a row and a nice stable release to promote and get some talks on. So that's my quick outreach and announcements. So if anybody has any questions on that, that would be great. So now I was going to ask Christian to give us the regular OKD update and maybe some insights from Vadim as well. So I'll stop talking if you want to share your screen and do any presentation.
We can actually just stay on that page, or maybe you can, because I'm having a little bit of laptop troubles today. My keyboard broke and it's only half of it works. So if we could go maybe to the other project board, I think, yeah, it should be orgs and OpenShift. Yeah, and then project 1. It's not community project there. It's just it's not in the community level, right? Name. Yeah.
So yeah, there's no community.
Yes.
I got there.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed on that board though. So what I've been doing the past week or the past 2 weeks, I've rebased the MCO FCOS branch. So we're a little bit more up to date there. Unfortunately, we've been having troubles with CI and we couldn't really get anything merged elsewhere, which is why there's been lots of things getting prepared, but we haven't really gotten them in so far. I hope these CI troubles will be unblocked and fixed very soon. So the MCO branch has been rebased. Vadim PR'd a merge or a rebase merge to the installer, which we'll use for the second alpha. And then I've been working on the installer repository to move that over to Go modules in preparation of the next steps. So we can there sort of also have less of a delta between the master and FCOS branches in the future. So I hope once the installer Go module migration lands and on the MCO branch, the next thing I'll work on is adding Spec 3 support in master. So once these two things land, I think, which is hopefully before end of year or very early on next year, we'll be able to cut I think I call that a beta release then already. So there is progress. It's not really, it can't really be used at the moment because of our CI troubles. But that I hope we'll be able to resolve that very shortly.
Can you explain a little bit about what the CI troubles are? Are they endemic to all of OpenShift, or is it just OKD specific?
So yeah, it's OKD specific in that case, and I think it's just some configuration issues that we promoted the wrong images, and we're building on the wrong images. So and we've unblocked all of these issues actually, but I think Vadim today found another issue in, was it Prometheus? I'm not sure what component it was. Some component that now blocks CI for us, and that may actually be important for all of OpenShift CI. Maybe Vadim can give a little bit more detail on that. Other than that, so the in review thing, the in review column hasn't really changed because we weren't able to move anything from the review stage to done because it hasn't been merged due to that. The rebase in the rebase FCOS branches of MCO, that has been done, and the installer branch is still in a PR that's waiting to get merged. And the second thing there is the thing I'll tackle next. I hope I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll probably start with that tomorrow because the installer thing is also ready now, but it needs to be reviewed, and there's some pending PRs in dependencies that have to get merged before. So I'll tackle that next. And I think that's once we have that second card there, the well, that's actually the PR, the Ignition Spec v2 conversion, and I'll add to that also Spec 3 conversion, so we can actually use one master of MCO for both OKD and OCP clusters. And once we get that in, I think we can really call it a beta. And I hope we'll have the beta by DevConf and by FOSDEM time in January.
Yeah. So, DevConf. So, yeah, because the London gathering is on the 29th and DevConf is the 24th-ish of January. So yeah, that would be good timing. Oh, cool. All right. Any questions from anybody who's on the call? Checking in here.
I can elaborate more on tests and some more status.
Okay.
So the issue now is that the fresh content from OKD4 is failing to tests which we depend on, and we're lucky that those tests are affecting OCP as well. So once these are fixed by our developers, we would get them automatically in OKD and would move on further. So during these weeks, me and Clayton were working on release promotion. Our OKD is now also tracking the future 4 and 4, so we don't need additional work here. And builds in 4 and 4 and 4.3 should automatically get fresh update from nightlies of OpenShift. Another area I worked on was adding new platforms. So we have 2 PRs for vSphere and libvirt support. Other platforms would need a little bit more work of using the upstream repos other than rel repos, but we'll get there soon. And yeah, and we have a few more PRs to disable the rel operators and rel content in OKD from the start, but those are again waiting for tests to pass. But once these 2 tests are fixed, we will be ready to start promoting, merging them, and adding more tests to that. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Vadim. That's awesome work. I'd like to really quick answer the question in the chat. I don't think we can call it a stable version at the end of January. It'll be a beta, and hopefully we'll get the GA the first by end of March. But that's sort of the aim. There's no promise there. Yeah, and the GA would be stable, and the beta end of January. I wouldn't call it stable because it's a beta version. I would have typed that in the chat, but unfortunately, yeah, my keyboard doesn't do it. Yeah.
So yeah, so my version of stable might not be production stable. My version in my head, beta, is stable enough to test and to ask people to test. So I apologize for that. Yeah. I have a.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be stable enough for testing, and it should also reflect, like, there won't be huge changes in the structure of anything after that, because we're then in a place where we sort of just have one MCO branch we use for everything, and the installer branches shouldn't diverge too much, so it'll be easy to rebase them regularly, and maybe even we'll get to somewhere where we can sort of add a flag to installer, which tells it to either use the RCOS base for OCP or the FCOS base for OKD. And yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with Vadim on that too. If Vadim is saying
right, if that's the definition of stable, then we can call that stable already. Yeah.
When is the release date of OCP 4.3? Anybody got a guess on that?
I think it's the 15th of January, but that's not a date we concern ourselves with.
Yeah.
So the 4th of never.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be the one who said it out loud. So
What we're really aiming to is getting the GA out, of the OKD GA out together with 4.4.
Yeah. So I had I've had a couple of requests, and I'm going to go back here to get the documentation for OKD4 up to snuff, and that's sort of on the to-do list here. And I'm wondering how we go about that. I'm going to kill your name, Gleedson. Sort of volunteered in the chat to help with that, but do we have anyone in docs that you're aware of, Christian, working on that already? And if so, how do we involve more people so we can get that done sooner?
I don't know that anybody's working on that as of now. For me personally, I would like to get the code done first and then document everything. I do see that we can already start with that. It's just I personally don't have the capacity to work on that right now.
Yeah,
I think
I'd like to
we may be able to.
other volunteers.
I think we may.
So you don't.
Yeah.
You're not the one
So
doing it.
there is a PR open on the OKD repository right now, which is sort of troubleshooting, I think, which will help get people started, I hope. We should definitely flesh everything out a little further, but maybe that'll suffice in the short term. And then because we do have a lot of documentation for OCP, and most of that is also valid for OKD. Maybe there's some way of reusing that. But yeah, I do know that Clayton said he wanted to involve more people in that, but I don't know how we're going about that right now.
So I'll tell you, Gleason, I will reach out to you, and we'll see this. So that, basically what I'm looking to do is get this run through and make sure that it's appropriate for, and I don't think it is, because I'm pretty sure what's new is here is the overview is the 3 dot something or other stuff. Yeah, V3. So this is what I'm talking about getting updated. And I don't think anyone in technical documentation has been assigned this yet, but it's kind of got some built-in tagging so that when they generate the OCP one, so for 4.4 or 4.3, it ought to auto-generate. But maybe we can set up a separate call just on docs and figure out that one, and I'll invite you guys. But what I'm trying to do, Christian, is get it off your shoulders and make sure that it's not your to-do, and get the community to come in.
That'd be great. I'm definitely happy to join another meeting specifically for that.
Yeah, so let me just and there. So if that makes sense, and if anybody else wants to be part of that, just go into this note and add your name, or send me an email if for some reason you can't do that. And Diane will.
Yeah, you can add me on there as well, so I can definitely give my input on it as well.
Yeah. See if I kill how many people's names I kill, but if anybody else wants to do that, that would be great. Because that's always seems to be the most important to me is to get this the build install stuff really good to start with, so that when we're at least betaing, we have that strong and stable and accurate. So move this over to make it sort of a known issue here. We know that it's hasn't been worked on yet. All right. Let's walk back over to in the right place. The agenda. In here. One of the other things that I had asked last week, and I didn't see that it was happening yet, but maybe in the issues list it is. We were going to try and make for each platform like a set of issues that were tagged for Azure, for bare metal, etc. Did that happen in the interim 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think Danny actually went ahead and created those issues. They're not in the community repo, they're in the OKD repo.
Okay.
I was sort of proposing we use the OKD repository for more technical issues and the community repo for everything around that.
All right, so he did that. That's great. That was what I was doing. So if there's anyone,
but Vadim and I actually just got yesterday night. We got permissions to edit those issues as well. So I think we did. I did that a little bit yesterday, but I saw Vadim also did some closing and answering questions there already.
Awesome. So the idea behind this was if you are testing on OpenStack to add your comments and feedback in these areas so that we can track them by the platform that you're testing on, and we know that someone is testing on that. So I know Neil and others have had specific things. If your type of platform isn't there, let us know and we'll do that. But we would love you to start adding any feedback. Positive is good, and into here if you could. That would be helpful. So I am going to go back to the agenda page, see if I can find it again. I'm wondering what else we need to cover off today. We talked about the documentation. I started a draft with Neil and other folks on the Fedora magazine. It hasn't gotten very far, but I think that's our Christmas holiday thing. And then once we have an outline, we can propose it. I took a look at the Fedora process, magazine process, and basically you propose it, and if they say yay, then you continue writing the article. So I'll try and get that done this week as well. Feedback and tracking, that was what we just did. And I apologize. Gleason, did you want to talk a little bit about the AWS testing and deployment success?
Can you hear me well?
Yes, now we can, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's just because I'm not in New Zealand this week. I'm in Brazil because I'll be talking in a conference this weekend.
Okay.
So, well, pretty much I did the whole installation cycle as per the default from try.openshift.com, and the installation worked on the first attempt. I checked the logs on the installation and checked the Terraform output, and it's pretty much the same as we would get on an OCP installation. And getting to the console and checking the resources, and everything seemed quite par with what we would get from an OCP installation. So I didn't prepare anything for this week, but I'm happy to prepare like a walkthrough for next time if you would like, Diane.
That would be great. And what I'd like to do is record it as a video on how to, basically how to deploy OKD4 on AWS, and have you talk through it so that we can have some of that content and maybe even just transcribe it in some way. But that would be wonderful if we could do that for the next one. I noted that.
Okay, I will prepare myself for that.
Yeah, and if we don't do it in the context of the OKD working group meeting, you and I can do it as a Blue Jeans thing separately if it doesn't work out, maybe as soon as you're ready, and then we'll have the video and we can watch it together on the OKD working group meeting. But that any time that you have, I'm on West Coast time, and I know you're East Coast Brazil time, so we can figure out something and record that beforehand. The sooner the better. That would be great, and then we can get more people testing.
Yeah. I'll be here. I'll be here in Brazil for the month of December, but then after New Year's, I'll fly back to New Zealand. So yeah, we better do this month if you have the time, of course.
I have plenty of time next week, so let's pick something next week and get it done. So that would be great. So I'm just looking at the thing.
Let me throw in here. Thank you, Gladson. Thank you also, Joseph, for reporting errors, and everybody else who's reported back with their troubles or successes. That's awesome, and we need more of that. So thank you very much for the feedback. It's very valuable to us, and keep on doing it, please.
Yeah. So the Steve Green is Steve. I'm not sure. Are you a Red Hatter or not? And if you want to, I think you're unmuted.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So speak up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working part-time on OKD work. I work about 5 hours a week. I'm finishing up at RIT right now. So I'd totally be interested in helping out with docs.
Wait, what? Who? What? Where?
Steve Green.
He's a student.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
He was an intern with us, and now he's part-time.
Yay. Because you can never leave. Once you've joined, you can never leave. So.
Well, I don't know if that should be awesome or foreboding.
No, so I'm just going to add a note to myself here, Steve Green. And you seem to be mostly interested in the bare metal instructions.
Yeah, definitely. Because bare metal would be great for setting up things like Proxmox and other platforms.
Yeah. So what I was going to, maybe if you want to draft up something as a Google Doc or GitHub README kind of instructions, we could start there and work through that. I think if we can have, we can set up a call on that too. So he's got Proxmox.
Definitely.
All right, and then I'm putting this in 2 places, but that's just me. So there was one other person in there, and I think that was to see who it was. Yeah, I agree with that. If there's no docs, it doesn't exist. Comment that somebody's just made. And that's why it's so important. Neil, you were doing it on Overt.
Yes, I'm doing it on Overt. And Overt and OpenStack are the main platforms that I'm looking at right now.
And what was the blocker for Overt?
There is the OpenShift installer has a PR for supporting Overt installer-based installation, but it is still stuck, and I don't know what's going on with it right now. So that's pretty much it.
That on Neil, is that on the FCOS branch or the master branch?
I don't know. I think that's on the master branch.
Okay. So with the rebase or with the Go module migration I'm doing, and once we rebase the installer FCOS branch on top of that, we should be able to re-enable all the platforms that are also available with OCP. Right now we had to rip out the Azure support to get OKD going. And yeah, once that is done, I hope very shortly, I hope this month, it'll get in. We'll be able to really sort of have the installer branches closer to each other and have all the same platforms in OCP and OKD.
Yeah, so the big one for my personal usage for using Overt OKD on my personal systems are Overt, and that's the one that I intend to do a lot of my testing and experimentation with. Here at work, we're looking at rolling out OKD on OpenStack, so both of those are things that I care about very deeply, and OpenStack is kind of broken right now the last time I checked, so I need to, hopefully things will be a little bit better after your latest rebase, Christian.
OpenStack needs to be rebuilt, basically, because currently the OCP uses the Red Hat supported OpenStack packages, and we cannot use it in those have to be rebuilt based on RDO. That's on the table. That's apparently the only blocking thing to roll out the OpenStack support in OKD.
Okay, well then, what's stopping that from happening? Because RDO is already building packages for all of the new OpenStack stuff. So, is it that RDO doesn't have Rel 8 or what?
Oh yeah, that is also one of the issues. The latest RDO doesn't work on. I think it doesn't work on Rel 8, meaning it won't work on. Well, and we need to have CI stood up so that it would automatically build both versions and promote one to OCP and one to OKD.
Is there anyone? Is there anyone actually talking to the RDO guys about this yet? I don't know whether they've prioritized this, because I don't think that anyone has asked them to look into supporting EL8 yet for RDO.
We talked to them internally, but we don't have any tracking issues right now.
Okay.
In a week, during the week I'll file all of this and see if they have any estimates, basically.
Okay.
And we may actually lead the OpenShift support or the RDO support with OKD on that, because once we have the installer rebase, or the second one that's coming now, we have one rebase sort of in the pipeline right now from Vadim, and then with the Go module migration there will be another one late this year or early next year, and from there on I think we can actually lead, because we could set up CI for OKD without the EL8 stuff, I think. But yeah, it's definitely one thing we should look at, and Vadim, if you can take on these cards, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. I will drive this.
I'm doing a little bit of arranging on things, and then is Charo on the call this time? No, wasn't able to. I'll have to check and see what that's. He's done the Metal 3 stuff as well, so hopefully we're getting most of these things done. I think what else we should be talking about today. We still have an open request for working group liaison, someone to supplement and drive this along with Christian, and that hasn't been resolved yet, so from the Red Hat side, but we're working on it. Looking through the open.
I think maybe we'll get past needing those actually once we reunify the MCO branch. There won't be much extra work there, and on the installer side, Vadim and I will probably handle that. And I don't know what other teams, maybe the RDO team now, need to be involved. Maybe for the RDO team it would make sense now.
Okay, so basically, going back to the documentation thing, is the key first piece that I see is making sure that the installation instructions are there for all the different variations, and we have the baseline ones that Vadim you wrote, but making sure that works on everything else, and if there's anything specific, so that and then to work with the documentation team inside of Red Hat that generates the OKD origin documentation for 4, and I'll find out those people and get a meeting set up about that. I'm wondering what else we should be doing in terms of outreach and getting more things tested. Excuse me, getting more feedback on testing. If there's a platform that we didn't cover today and that I should be trying to track someone down to do, I think maybe in January, prior to DevConf, what I'd like to do is host an OKD working group meeting, and as soon as we're sure that the documentation and we've got a steady preview that Christian is looking good, is to do a call out to all of the Commons members to the main mailing list, to take a look at the install stuff, and if they are interested in it, and then have them maybe come to a meeting that's just for people who want to do testing. If in early January, maybe the second week when everybody's back, and try and focus people's attention on OKD4 beta testing. Does that sound like a reasonable thing to do? Or will that give us too many issues before we go live? What are your thoughts,
I
Christian?
think it does. Once we have the beta, I think we should really be in a good place for testing everything. Right now, it's still, because there's so many not really supported platforms right now, it's very hard. But once we have the beta, it should be more clear and more easily trackable as well.
So maybe wait until after we come back from DevConf to do something like that.
I mean, yeah, maybe if we get the beta out before DevConf, I think as soon as that, we can really sort of provide a template for reporting issues and stuff like that. So maybe even before, but around that time.
Okay. Cool. All right. There's a few more things in the chat that have come up. Let me just take a look and see what that is. And yeah, there was a question from Joseph about documenting building Fedora CoreOS for Azure, and yeah, I haven't seen much there as well.
So maybe Dusty, if you're here, you can say, where is there an FCOS image on the Google, on the Microsoft thing already on Azure, or is it just not there yet?
No, we do not have a Fedora CoreOS image on Azure. I think, I don't know if we are outputting it in our artifact list, but if you build it and upload it yourself, I think it should work. Our problem is that we cannot right now, because of terms and conditions, upload images for everybody to use. So we're working through trying to get access to be able to do that through Red Hat Legal. I'm not sure. Let me check real quick to see if we have Azure images builds that we're currently doing. It looks like we don't, but I think we could probably enable that. I don't know of any reason why it wouldn't be working.
I mean, that would sort of eliminate the step of building the images oneself, I think, right? You could just take the image and then upload it yourself and use it that way.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for the update on that, Dusty.
All right, then, Tim. Gotcha. All right, Tim is offering up some OpenStack or vSphere resources. So we'll take you up on that, Tim. Are there any other topics that we should be covering off today? Is there anything else you need help with besides everything, Christian?
Not really help, but there's one thing that Mohan Bodu from the Fedora community, when I met him last month in Boston, suggested that we set up an OKD cluster for the Fedora community to use and tinker with or essentially run their own stuff on. And I think he offered some help with that, and I'd be interested as well in setting that up and maybe maintaining it as well. So at DevConf in Brno, we were going to meet and talk about that. So anybody who's interested in a Fedora OKD instance, yeah, I'll definitely set up a meeting or something and send out some details. But if you're interested in that, maybe put that in the agenda.
That is
so we can. So
that is something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I thought you would be, Neil.
There is a cluster called Community Shift for Fedora.
Yep.
Specifically for community project. It uses OCP right now, but once we get more or less stable release of OKD, we would definitely experiment on Fedora, guys, and see how it's being run.
Well, and I just in general, I'd be happier seeing less stuff in the Fedora community dependent on RHEL and more self-hosting, because we're it's just kind of bad when we can't even find out that that we can't even fix our own problems. So being on platform, being able to run our infrastructure on our own distribution makes it so much easier for us to fix our own problems, because quite frankly, the RHEL guys don't care enough about our problems. So it's nicer when we can fix them.
Yeah, I think that it would be great to have that and just work with that as well. So yeah, I'll send out something about that to all the interested parties, or maybe just to the entire working group in some time before the conference in Brno.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, I won't be at DevConf in Brno, and I won't be at FOSDEM either, but hopefully there will be other opportunities where we can meet up and
yeah, maybe we'll be able to maybe we'll be able to stream it, or set up a video conference. That's definitely one thing I'd like to do. Include everybody who's not there in place.
We'll definitely stream it. That was a mistake last time at KubeCon not to stream it, Neil. So we'll definitely, the working groups we have at in DevConf, we'll definitely have a Blue Jeans set up for it. I'm not quite sure what the timing will. Well, you'll be. Are you based in Europe, Neil? Where are you based?
No, I'm in Eastern Time, East Coast, U.S. I'm in Connecticut. So
it won't be too bad for you then. I think it was 3 to 4, 3 to 5, or something like that. So cool. So our next meeting, if we were on a 2-week cadence, was going to be the week that's shut down for everybody here at Red Hat and full tilt into the holiday season. And so I would propose, I think the next one, we were thinking about doing this January 7th. But I might, does that work for your schedule, Christian, and other folks?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
January 7th.
Yeah, at this time, January 7th. Does that work?
1 second.
The 7th works for me. I don't have a problem with that day. At least as of right now, I don't. It is a month away.
Sounds good to me as well.
And what I'm going to do, I'll put an email out. The folks that were talking about doing documentation, once I figure out what the game plan is from the Red Hat documentation team for OKD4, if they have one, I'll put a note out to the mailing list, and we can set up a time probably that same week to talk about documentation, or if I'm lucky, next week, if I can move that conversation quickly and gather people's thoughts about helping with the documentation. There might be a little education process on how to make pull requests and stuff like that that needs to happen. But otherwise, January 7th will be our next meeting, unless someone objects strenuously to that. And so I come back to work on the 6th. I think most Red Hatters do too. So and I think that's all we have now for today, unless someone wants to jump in and ask another question or offer more resources. Thanks, Tim, for that offer. And just keep, if you can, put your issues into the OKD under the category for whatever platform you're playing on, including maybe the Azure thing for the Fedora CoreOS. That would probably be a good place to keep track of it for now, or Dusty somewhere in Fedora CoreOS land issues as well, so we can keep track of that one.
Yeah, I'm just pinging some people over in the IRC channels. See if we can get that enabled.
Yeah, if you can, in this note, if you end up logging an issue, if you can just put the link to the issue in here, in this note, that would be great.
Okay.
And then we can track it. All right, folks. I don't want to keep you longer than we have to. And hopefully we'll just keep motoring on and Christian and Vadim won't burn out on us. So we'll just keep using the chat and the mailing list to reach out if you have questions, and we'll try and get everything answered for you in a timely fashion, or as timely as holidays provide us for.
Perfect. Thank you so much for hosting, Diane, and thank you everybody for joining in. I really appreciate it.
Right, we do. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks all.
So,
Thanks.
And
Bye.
the last meeting was recorded as well, and it is uploaded into the playlist. So if anyone wants to go back, and I will endeavor to get this one done today in a more timely fashion. So the playlist is listed in the notes there on the community page.
Awesome. Thank you, Diane.
Take care.
Bye.